All right, welcome to another edition of This Would Make a Great Movie. I am Andre Hextall, and we're going to have a good show today. The first thing I want to do before we get started is reveal the results of the question that we posed at the end of the coma. If you can recall, there was a debate that my mom and my niece had over the ending. When I originally presented the idea to both of them, my mom thought the first ending wasn't believable. She felt like if the character in that story would have burned down the cabin and just left without covering up his tracks, that the police would soon chase after him, and therefore that would make the storyline not believable. Whereas on the other hand, my niece loved it. She felt that the character burning down the house and then skipping the country was actually a very edgy and kind of cool way to end the story. So what I did was, because we were having a debate, is I presented it to you guys, and now I have the results. After a lot of emails, and I appreciate everybody reaching out with your comments, but after a lot of emails, it looks like my mom won. It appears that everyone agreed that the way we had the character cover up his tracks was more believable and thus more enjoyable. So, again, thank you for reaching out. We had a lot of fun doing that, and I want to make sure we continue to do that with your help going forward. Now, I want to jump into this week's storyline. It's an idea we're calling the Starfather. It's a crazy idea where we took two movie universes, Star Wars and The Godfather, and asked the question, what would happen if those two storylines came together? Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who enjoy mashups, and I know there's a ton of those types of ideas online, but what makes ours different is we try to stick to the original storyline. So, again, what you'll be hearing is a version where Darth Vader himself ends up in the world of The Godfather and then shares one potential idea of how that could have worked out. All right, so I want to jump right into it. My idea for what would make a great movie is called The Starfather, and I hope you enjoy it. When Darth Vader lands his ship on the unfamiliar planet, he isn't concerned with returning through the spatial rift which brought him to this alternate universe when the young Skywalker destroyed the Death Star. Instead, he is focused on solving the riddle of who on this strange world could be responsible for the disturbance in the Force. Led by his dark senses, he finds the Corleones, a powerful New York mafia family, in the middle of a crisis after the recent assassination attempt of their father Vito. In the first few days, Vader stays hidden and observes the three brothers, still unsure of which is showing the abilities of the dark side. The firstborn, Sonny, certainly has the aggression and rage to be a Sith Lord, but lacks the necessary cunning to aid Vader in his conquest. The second oldest, Fredo, is weak and the least intelligent of the siblings, and therefore is unworthy to learn the dark arts. However, Vader soon determines that the youngest, who has not yet taken part in the family business, has all the attributes to be a powerful apprentice, and so he turns his efforts toward pushing Michael towards the dark side. Vader first uses the Force to influence Salazzo, an up-and-coming drug lord, into making another attempt on Don Vito's life as he lay in the hospital. Lucky for Michael, he shows up and is able to prevent the murder. The near death of his father causes him to grow increasingly concerned, and for the first time he begins to consider his role in the family business. It's during this time Vader secretly makes his presence known, hoping to use Michael's fears against him and seduce the young Corleone into becoming his dark pupil. Michael only became a Marine at the insistence of his father, who saw military life as a way to keep his son off the streets and out of trouble. Even though Michael was a Marine, he had gone out of his way to avoid violence, so he never had use for his gun. But when he lays eyes upon the Dark Lord and hears the menacing breathing sounds, Michael grabs his weapon and fires it without hesitation. Quickly, the Sith Lord deflects the bullets using the Force, then raises his hand and pulls the pistol from Michael's fingers. Within minutes, two of Michael's bodyguards storm in and begin firing, forcing Darth Vader to draw his lightsaber. Once he's killed the first man with his glowing red saber and Force choked the life out of the other, Vader reveals to Michael who he is and explains how the young Corleone is destined to become his new student. It was clear Darth Vader was very powerful, so Michael listens closely as he explains the ways of the Force and how it can be used to save his father. So when Vader instructs him to destroy his enemies as a first step in his training, Michael immediately sits down with his brother Sonny and plans the murders of Salazzo and McCluskey, the crooked NYPD captain. When the killings are done, war breaks out with the five families, so Michael returns to Sicily, where Vader joins him and secretly continues his training. As Michael grows in the ways of the Force, Vader turns his thoughts toward returning to the Imperial fleet with his new apprentice and destroying the Emperor. But his plans soon become threatened when Michael strays from his training after meeting and marrying a local girl named Apollonia. In the coming days, even the news of his brother Sonny's murder fails to refocus Michael, so once again Vader intervenes and shares a vision of Michael's location with his enemies. When the car bomb intended for Michael takes the life of his beloved Apollonia, his overwhelming grief and anger pushes him to complete his journey toward the dark side. Vader, now pleased with his apprentice's progress, confidently leaves Michael for a short time while he prepares for their return to his universe. During that time, Don Vito arranges to have his son safely brought back to America. Michael welcomes the safe passage home, knowing his new powers will allow him to protect his father and to join the family business. No one else but Michael's new wife Kay can sense the difference in him. So using his new Sith powers, he falsely assures her that within 5 years the family business will be completely legitimate. Once Kay's suspicions are in check, Michael formally assumes control and reveals his intentions to bring another war against the five families. He then parts for Vegas to rid the family of Mo Green, the last outsider working within their business. Lord Vader, having prepared his ship for the trip back, catches up with Michael while he's alone in a Vegas hotel and instructs him to prepare to depart for the rift. But to his surprise, Michael is defiant and reveals to his master his new plans for remaining in his universe and destroying the rest of his father's enemies. This displeases Vader, who sees that Michael is consumed by his own personal ambitions, so he heads to New York intending to remove the one final obstacle standing between him and his prized pupil. Don Vito Corleone is in his garden playing with his grandson Anthony when Darth Vader quietly approaches him. The Sith Lord watches as Vito chases the young boy into the tomato garden and then uses the Force to induce a heart attack. Lord Vader hopes that the death of Michael's father will allow him to once again twist his mind, but he is wrong. When Michael learns of his father's death, he senses Vader's involvement, so he has Mo Green and the other New York Dons assassinated and then prepares to confront Vader for the final time. When Michael enters the ship, Lord Vader senses his rage and realizes Michael has come to fight. Using the dark gifts taught to him, Michael launches several items from the ship at Vader, who easily deflects them as he draws his lightsaber. Fueled by anger, Michael tries once more, but Vader's skills are too much, and eventually the young Don gets pinned with Vader's lightsaber inches from his throat. For one final time, Vader attempts to seduce Michael into joining forces to destroy the Emperor, but Michael calms himself and refuses, explaining he would rather die than abandon his family. Sensing Michael's readiness to end his life, Vader slowly releases his defiant apprentice and ponders for a moment where things went wrong. Eventually, he considers seeking out a new pupil and decides to turn his attentions toward his own son Luke, confident that if he could be turned, he would make a much more worthy ally. Vader would soon part ways with Michael, but not before warning his former apprentice that he would never be all-powerful until he found it within himself to eliminate all threats, even the ones closest to him. Darth Vader and his ship re-enter the rift, and Michael returns home where he finalizes his revenge against Carlo, his sister's husband, who played a part in setting up his brother Sonny's murder. In time, Michael would use what he was taught to secretly become the most powerful crime boss in history, while Vader would finally have his confrontation with the Emperor, and without intent, bring balance to the Force. All right, so there's the Starfather. I had a great time coming up with that concept, and I certainly hope you enjoyed it. Just so you know, Star Wars and The Godfather are my two favorite movies of all time. So to have an opportunity to bring those together, man, is like a dream come true. But what I want to do is, like always, send me your thoughts. Let me know if you like the fact that we took those two movies and combined them together. And also maybe where we could have improved the idea And maybe even send me some ideas of where we could take the storyline. Because again, here's an opportunity to do something really cool where we can begin to take movies that have absolutely nothing to do with each other, and while keeping with the storyline, create an all-new experience. For example, maybe we could take Friday the 13th and combine it with Jaws or something crazy like that. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I want to first hear your thoughts about whether you thought The Starfather was successful or not. So grab your laptop or your tablet and email me at thiswouldmakeagreatmovie@gmail.com and give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down as to whether or not this was successful. Okay, so obviously we don't have a fantasy cast. So because we're going to skip that for this episode only, I want to take time to share something with you. We have gotten a lot of emails and requests for us to go ahead and make one of these movies. So what I'm doing now with your help is putting together 4 of the ideas. And right now the ones that are in the lead are The Coma, The Bath, The Ring, and The Alien Divide. So we're looking at taking those 4 concepts and turning them into features. And how we're going to go about doing that, and this is why I want to place this bug in your ear, is we're going to start a crowdsourcing campaign sometime towards the end of October. So I'm hoping that all the fans and people who wrote in and said that they want to see one of these will support that initiative and donate a couple of bucks toward us producing these into feature films. I mean, this is where we started this idea. This would make a great movie. The intention was to take one of these ideas and then one day hopefully produce a short feature film that we can then share across these social networks. So we're going to do it, and I appreciate it. You guys have put the fire under us, and we heard you, and now we're going to put it into action. So be on the lookout for our Kickstarter campaign where we're going to go ahead and raise the funds to make this happen. And I owe it all to you guys. So again, thank you so much for writing all the reviews, writing all the lovely emails, and for being such a big fan, because without you, none of this would be possible. All right, so that wraps up another edition of This Would Make a Great Movie. I enjoyed sharing The Starfather with you and am looking forward to hearing your comments as to whether you thought that was successful. And again, to remind you one more time, please look out for the Kickstarter campaign so that we can go ahead and turn The Ring, The Coma, The Alien Divide, and The Bath into a feature film. So with that being said, I know there's some of you who want to know how you can come on the show. And if you just want to make general comments, please contact me at thiswouldmakeagreatmovie@gmail.com. Or you can visit my blog at thiswouldmakeagreatmovie.libsyn.com/podcast. And Libsyn is spelled LIBSYN.com. And by all means, please go on to Facebook and find This Would Make a Great Movie, like the page, and then also comment on the stories that we're presenting each week, because again, that's a good place to share your ideas as well. All right? Oh, I want to mention one other thing. We have, for the first time in iTunes, been 2 weeks straight on the What's Hot list. So whatever you guys are doing, sharing, liking it, putting in comments and reviews, please keep doing that, because the show is growing and you guys are helping to make it happen, and I really appreciate that. So keep listening. Got some great things coming. I love hanging out with you guys. This is the fun part of my day and my week, so I'm going to keep this rolling. But until the next time, I'm out.